not doing the gun barrel thing. I'm not armed today, so it's alright. Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man! At your services. How are you all? I hope you're doing very, very well. Well, it's an exciting day, isn't it? No Time to Die premieres. Probably by the time you're watching this, it'll be starting. And I'll be sitting there, and suddenly the cry will go up, "Get the drunk guy in the kilt out of here! Who the hell invited him?" So I'll be offed, ousted. Anyway, folks, the hype wagon for No Time to Die is really thunderously charging along. And I love it. I love it. I'm a sucker for hype. I mean, God, I've spent the last 2 years hyping up Halloween Kills myself, let alone all the other Halloween gurus out there. And intermittently, I've done little bits on Bond and usually kind of saying like, "Oh, we're never going to see this film, and who cares if it comes out? Oh, we should have seen it back in 2019, and oh, God, Yes, I've been through that entire emotional roller coaster that is Bond. And now I'm really, really suckered in. Now, I'm not actually seeing it till Friday morning, officially. If I can get to see it on the Thursday night, I might do. I don't know. But at the moment, it's Friday morning for me. And I can't wait. Although I'm not happy about sitting there for almost it'd be over 3 hours with all your trailers and all that blurb and your Pearl and Dean adverts. Some of us still get those, But it's an extravagant event. It's a huge thing. I will almost certainly go bedecked in, finery. What I'll probably wear is the Highland version of the tux. I'll have a Prince Charlie jacket on with the waistcoat and the shirt, maybe a bow tie, but I'll be in a kilt. So, anyway, that's a few days off. So, but with all of this hype that's going on and all the talk of this is the end of Daniel Craig's tenure as Bond, and I've loved his tenure. I've said many times that there's been a few misfires, there's been elements which I didn't like. I absolutely adore Casino Royale, I adore Skyfall, I have a lot of admiration for how Quantum of Solace eventually did come out, and I bigged that up. So I do like the movie, despite the shaky editing and the shaky cam and all that stuff. The whole Jason Bourne etiquette swept in there, and the sheer storytelling, collapse. But then you got Spectre. Spectre was an event movie which had a great intro. The one take opening shot is fantastic. I do love Dave Bautista being a bad guy. The throwback to From Russia with Love, the fight on the train, is incredible. But overall, I've despised the Blofeld story. I'm the architect of all your pain. I've hated it with a vengeance. But as I think I've said previously, I do hope that this film, because this film will address all of the Blofeld saga with Daniel Craig's 007 and how that all comes to a head, and it'll tie up all those loose ends. So when we all look back on this tenure in years to come, with maybe several more Bonds, under the tuxedo, having flashed across the big screen, we can look back on Daniel Craig's outings as Bond dislocated from the rest, because the whole thing is Bond is not a consistent. He might be a consistent character, but the stories certainly aren't. So, and this will be the longest ongoing sort of saga with any Bond story, any Bond canon of any guy playing Bond. This will be 5 movies all around the same, or building up to the same conclusion. So, we can look back on it sort of in favour of what this version did. So, anyway, look, that's preamble aside. Everyone's talking about who's the next Bond. Well, I'm totally the opinion that the Broccolis know who it is. And it'll be someone that is not in the running that we know of. I'm fairly certain it's going to be somebody that we never, not on the radar, not on the horizon, that they've been watching for a while. It's got to be someone with a track record. Someone that can't be too young. Now, and we'll come on to this because some of you may notice there's a little notepad over there. What does a notepad mean on a Kilt-Man video? It means he's made a little list. Yes. Because I thought I'll join in with all this sort of Bondian, shenanigans, and I'll throw my 2 pence in as to who I think might be the next James Bond. Along the way, we'll diss off certain other ones who I don't think is going to make the grade. But the beauty of it is, could be completely wrong. I reckon they're going to go with someone that is not listed by the bookies. They're not on anyone's list. They're not on the radar anywhere. And that'll be the fun part of it. So, anyway, let's have a look, because I could waffle on endlessly. And I probably will anyway, despite the list. So, thank you, Q. Don't need it anymore. Right, so who's the next 007 after Daniel Craig? Well, we already know who it is. It's Nomi. It's Lashana Lynch, because she is, in this movie, 007. In this movie, we know damn well that Daniel Craig's James Bond has retired from MI6. So the 007 prefix, that role, that agent role of that prefix of 007 has been fulfilled and taken over by Nomi, played by Lashana Lynch. Yes, I do have to keep looking at that name. It doesn't roll off the tongue for me for some reason. And there's a lot of L's in there, and it should do, but it just doesn't. So Lashana Lynch plays 007 in this, Nomi. But she's not playing James Bond. So let's just quash all sorts of those sagas and stories of, can it be a woman playing James Bond? No, it can't. Why should it be? METOO, woke, fuck you. No. As Daniel Craig says, and it doesn't have to be Daniel Craig to say it, or why do you put credence in what he says? Anyone of a logical mind and a film going, absolute connoisseur, should understand that Bond is Bond and Bond is a man. His name is James Bond. If you want to make a role for a woman in a similar sort of guise, then do it. You had Halle Berry as, what was her name, Jinx. The idea was it was going to an offshoot for her. That could have happened, but it didn't happen. But you could do it now. Write a role for a female Bondian type assassin spy. But don't take Bond off the shelf and then put him in women's clothes and give him, a vagina. Don't do that. Don't emasculate our James Bond and make him Jane Bond. Don't be doing that shite. That's just stupidity. You're pandering to a movement which is trying to hijack everything, when really the movement should be trying to create new roles. There, rant over. No female James Bond. And then, of course, obviously, I hate to be the one that's going to go, well, we've addressed the female side of it, now we address the race issue and the colouring of our character of 007. Now, there's many people out there that will, most people who talk about this sort of thing are they're not saying what they really feel, and they aren't. And you guys know this. I talk to many, many people in the pubs and the clubs, and just a lot of friends and people who are massive fans of all this sort of stuff, and they're very, very well aware of the woke and METOO sort of movement that's taking place, which I agree with. I agree with it. And it's funny how everyone sort of prefixes what they say in the next line with, I'm not a racist, I'm not sexist, but, and then they say this, and they kind of dress things up a little bit. And if you look at TV presenters and the way that they address this, oh, it's so sick-making. Look, James Bond, quite clearly, in today's age, not way back in the 60s, not in the 70s, perhaps not in the 80s, the 90s maybe, from 2000s onwards, you could very definitely have a black James Bond. You could. Because, we've got a multi-ethnic society now, and you could have a James Bond called James Bond, who is from a distinct... James Bond has a lineage, don't forget. he does have a bloodline running back. Now that is an important and crucial aspect of anyone who's playing James Bond. You've got to remember that. He's not just, Daniel Craig was trying to portray Bond. Remember what was the initial opening to Casino Royale was going to be? It was going to be a montage of him working through special forces. He touted SAS a lot. Of course, that wasn't what we got. We got the awesome, animated title sequence with "You Know My Name," fantastic. But it would have worked equally as well, because he was trying to take Bond back to a sort of grassroots level. But if you look at Skyfall, that clearly is not the case, because Skyfall takes him back to the family home and the lineage that he has, that nobility which he, with his brusque, pugilistic attitude, kind of suppressed. We'll come on to all this a bit more. So whoever plays Bond has to have that quality as well. Even in today's world, that's important, because Daniel Craig made that work. So a person of ethnic minority can certainly play James Bond, so long as you've got that lineage, can be there and be authentic, and don't just make it so that, look, we're pandering, we're showing that anyone could be James Bond. And so we've got the guy from The Green Knight, what's his name, Dev Patel? Is it Dev Patel? I might be wrong about that. Well, on the face of it, I've got nothing against that, but I'm nothing against, the religion behind all this, but does that really work? James Bond? See, again, I'm going to be saying things now which other people would never dare to say, but I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. James Bond, and would he have that name, James Bond? Would it? Possibly, But then you're going into the realms of was it a mixed marriage? You're opening up a huge can of worms there, and you're doing it for the sake of a movement which really is just hijacking things for the sake of it. So no, again, I don't think that someone of that ethnic minority is going to work. My opinion. Do not crucify me for that. But certainly someone of colour can play Bond. In today's world, that can happen. But you've got to respect the lineage, the heritage, the bloodline, the ancestry of the character. You can't make the character suit the times. The times have to reflect what this character really is, but how he would exist in today's world. That's the crucial element. Anyway, so, right, here are the names who's in the running, and let's just spew off Idris Elba and Colin Salmon right now. They've had their shot at this, they've been touted many times. They're not in the running, they are not. So let's just forget about them. So let's go through all this. And by the way, race and creed, nationality, we've had a Scotsman, we've had a Welshman, we've had an Irishman, and we've had Englishmen playing, and we have an Australian as well. My idea, they should be British without a doubt. They should be. Now I know my favourite, and there he is, George Lazenby. Yeah, he's Australian. I know. So there's my theory blown out the water. But basically it should be a British guy playing James Bond. Should be. So, but going with the Scots, you've got Sam Heughan from Outlander. I like the guy, and he's a fellow redhead as well, so, the Gingers should inherit the 007 mantle, but I don't like him. There you go, simple as. If you've seen that SAS Red Notice, what a pile of shite that is. Absolute god-awful. And I don't rate him as an actor. Sorry, Sam, but I don't see you striding into a casino and carrying, that charisma and that animalistic, sort of the panther-like quality of Sean Connery. You've not got that, mate. You've not got that. So I'm afraid, for me, no. And you've got this guy from Bridgerton. Jean Page, is it? I can't even read my own writing. I apologise, folks, I've never seen Bridgerton, never seen it. But I've seen pictures of this guy, and what a good looking guy. Yeah. Yeah. Again, let's use that template for striding into a casino, looking like you own the place, wearing a tux, looking the part, having that charisma and that animalistic quality that, yeah, you could take anybody down. But you can also play all these kinds of gambling games, the roulette wheel. You've got the look, you've got the gift of the gab, and the eye for the ladies, and you catch everybody else's eye. Yes, you could do that, but the rest of the role, the physicality of the role, the fighting, the running, the chasing, the espionage, I don't know. I didn't see Bridgerton, so I really do not know if you've got the acting chops for it. Everyone leaps on the bandwagon of someone who's suave, sophisticated, got a real good look to them. But that doesn't necessarily make you Bond. There's a lot more that goes into it. Daniel Craig, love you, Dan. You're not a good looking guy though. You've got the face of a boxer who's lost most of his fights. And that made it work. That brought him down to a working class level, who turned his back on the family nobility, who never looked right in a tux, looked good in a sharp suit, but looked like he didn't really belong in that attire, as of course is said to him in Casino Royale. So, you know, I understand how that works for his particular incarnation of the role. Again, Sean Connery, working class guy, a trucker, you know, a male model, the iconic good rugged looks, but not classically good looks and not modern day good looks. Looked like he'd fought a bit or two, which made him the animalistic Bond. The famous quote, walks like a panther, you know, looks the part, you know, in a tux, he could just about carry it off, but you didn't want to mess with this guy either. And that's what happened with Daniel Craig. You look at Roger Moore in a suit, in the black tux, he didn't look right. He looked more comfortable in the friggin' white tux. Because Roger Moore was the camp era, but the good side of camp. And I do adore Roger Moore. There's a rap there somewhere, but I think he was great. And I've done videos on Roger Moore as Bond, as you probably know. And but he took it in a different angle. Lazenby famously met Cubby Broccoli in a barber's getting his hair cut. He was in London. He wanted the role of Bond. He was buying his clothes from Savile Row, where Sean Connery was getting kitted out for 007. So he meets Cubby Broccoli and he acts the part straight away. And as everyone will tell you, he's Bond off screen, whereas everybody else who's played Bond plays Bond in front of the cameras. But off screen, they're completely different. Of course they are, because it's acting. It's acting, darling, you know? But Lazenby so wanted the part and so adores the part, and yet so didn't want to be typecast. Well, bad, you know, sort of bad whispering in the ear, bad advice from his own agents and marketing that, you know, you don't want to be typecast. The world's your oyster after all this. So he doesn't want to do any more Bonds. Big mistake, you know? But I think he's still marvellous in the role, even though he's the Australian. He's the one. Well, it's still it's still the Empire. It's still the British Empire. It's still the he's a colonial. So, and I still love him. But again, he had a rugged face as well. So again, like Sean Connery, so it was a good sort of move from Connery to Lazenby, because he had that. He's fought. You can't have a pretty boy playing Bond. If Bond's meant to have been through wars, active service, and fought other hitmen, been on missions, he can't be fresh-faced and pretty. He simply cannot be. He can be ruggedly good-looking and heroic, but he can't be a pretty boy. So that discounts a lot of people in this run-up here, this listing, which I will carry on with in a minute. But as I say, Sean Connery, Lazenby, Daniel Craig had that rugged look. They didn't look particularly comfortable in the suits and the tux, but they carried it off well, because, you know, you still wouldn't want to fuck with them, you know what I mean? So, anyway, let's go back on the list. Oh God, you know, Tom Holland, Spider-Man. He's great. He's young. What are you going to do? What are you going to go back to Bond in training? Don't. Just don't do that. You had the books, the young James Bond, little Jimmy Bond learning the ropes. You've done that with Taron Egerton in The Kingsman. You've done that. And it's funny how Taron Egerton's name is not appearing in the list anymore. It did do for a while. And I can see why. I just don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's good enough at all. Good enough in The Kingsman, but not as Bond. No. And Robin Hood. So, no chance. So we've written off Sam Hugan, we've written off Reggie Jean Page, Bridgerton. I'm sure I've written that down wrong, you know. Tom Holland, your Spider-Man. Is Marvel going to give you the leeway to be Bond? It's not gonna. You're not Bond. You're not Bond. You're too young. Forget it. Great actor. Do love you, but you're not James Bond, and I don't think you ever will be. There you go. Off the list. Tom Hardy. Right. Tom Hardy. Yeah. Now, how many times has Tom Hardy's name been in the run-up, the listing, the top 5 on the cusp of the next Bond? Loads. Tom Hardy's a great actor. Tom Hardy, again, fulfills what I've just been saying. He can wear a suit, he can wear a tux, but he is a good-looking guy, but he's a guy that looks like he's fought, a guy that looks like he's been hit. That's important. So he's got that. He's not a pretty boy in that conventional or modern-day sort of sense of a pretty boy. He looks like he's been round the block a few times. He's great as Mad Max. I'd like to see him as Mad Max again. I really would. I thought he nailed it superbly. He's also done a spy movie. Did he do a spy movie where he's a competitor, a sort of CIA competitor for what's his name, Chris Pine, in a sort of, is it I Spy or no Spies Like, not Spies Like Us? That's Chevy Chase, isn't it? There was a spy movie where they were like in love with the same girl, and it was a comedy, a rom-com with a bit of violence thrown in, and it didn't work. It didn't work. But Tom Hardy is a great actor, very intense. The physicality, he could inhabit that perfectly. A bit like Daniel Craig for Casino Royale, he pumped up and bulked up, coming out the water like Ursula Andress. Well, not quite like Ursula Andress, but it was the male equivalent of him doing it. And his quote from Daniel Craig always was like, I want people to see my Bond and go, fucking hell, he could do somebody. In other words, fucking do him in. Again, because that character kind of demands a guy that can fight. He's got to be able to roll with the punches and take, whatever comes at him and get hurt but still get up again. And Craig really epitomised that. He gets the shit kicked out of him so many times, and he faces so many insurmountable odds that he takes a bashing and a bruising and still comes back, and you believe it. Looks the part. Looks agonised and in pain. Look at his heart, his cardiac arrest in Casino Royale. The pain and the suffering and the ball bashing. I mean, Bond likes to bash his balls. Doesn't like to get them bashed by someone else there. And he perfect in that as well. Perfect. And there's not many actors. Roger Moore could never have done that. I've never seen Sean Connery doing it. Lazenby, not so sure. Dalton, no way. No way on earth could Dalton have portrayed that. Shakespearean Bond, although I do like him a lot. Brosnan, fucking no chance. Brosnan, Goldeneye was great. Tomorrow Never Dies, I enjoyed. No one ever talks about that now, but I really enjoyed that. Well, There's Not Enough is utter garbage, and you see what I did there. And Time of the Day is just forget it. Mojito, oh fuck off. No way. So Brosnan is one of my least favourite Bonds. I know people do adore him, but no, not for me. Not for me. Again, pretty boy that didn't look like he could handle the fighting. Although he does do a bit, but he didn't look the part. For me. So, no way. So Tom Hardy again looks the part of a guy who's been around the block, can fight, look like he's done active service. And you've got another little trait for Tom Hardy in his favour is his his penchant for doing accents. I mean, this is the guy that can spend 5 minutes in Zimbabwe and pick up the patois straight away. His Jamaican, his New York, his deep South American, all of his accents, his Cockneyisms, everything. It's a kind of like when he's on talk shows and he comes on with different accents, you kind of going, fuck off, Tom. Just stop it. Stop being this fucking stupid idiot. But he can do the accents. Now, I said before in my previous video about on MI6 Secret Service where George Baker does the voiceover for George Lazenby when he's impersonating, say, Hilary Bray in the Kilt at Piz Gloria in the Swiss Alps. And that's great because Bond may assume the identity of different characters throughout some of his adventures, but he's the only one who has his voice changed for it. And George Baker did the voiceover. Tom Hardy at least could put on a different voice if he's playing some other character to try and infiltrate or whatever, an organisation, an establishment. He could put on a voice, a pair of glasses, and he's very good at doing that. Even though he's got the size, and he would not slim down to play Bond, he'd probably bulk up all the more. So them traps would be there, and he had a bit of Bane. Oh, well, yeah. Bond! James Bond! Yeah. He'd have all that going on. He could do it, but I think Tom Hardy's far too obvious a choice, so I don't think it's going to happen for that reason alone. Also, Tom Hardy is not a big thing for franchises. Yeah, he's been in a Batman franchise, but he played one character who's now gone. Yes, he's now in Venom and Carnage and all that sort of stuff, but I don't really think that's going to go beyond, or it might do. And if that's the case, he can't play Bond. He can't appear in 2 franchises. So I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think he's in the market for it, in the running at all anymore. So Tom Hardy, for many reasons, would be great, but for many reasons, is out. So, who have we got now that is in the running? We've got Welshman, again, after Timothy Dalton, Luke Evans. Luke Evans played Dracula, he's in The Hobbit, he's in, oh god, No One Here Gets Out Alive, or whatever it's called. He's a good, rugged, good-looking actor. Again, not conventionally pretty. He's dark. He looks good in a suit. He has got a physical element to his performances. But has he got that amount of track record, that momentum that the Broccolis would seriously consider him? Possibly, because he's got nothing holding him back from this. So he could do a tenure as Bond. And I think he could do it. I think he'd be alright. He's not my choice. I'm not saying he's my choice. I'm saying he could be positively in the running. The right sort of age as well. He's not a young man. He's certainly not an old man. He's not middle-aged. But it's the right age group to be starting Bond. But it's possible. Luke Evans there, folks. Okay, a name which comes up a lot, Cillian Murphy, Peaky Blinders, again from James Bond, Batman, he's the Scarecrow, right, great actor, tremendous actor, 28 Days Later, love him, absolutely love him, love his look as well, the rugged physicality of the role of James Bond, nope, you've not got it, I just don't think you've got it. You're not going to build up. I'm not saying you have to build up for it, but you have to be able to do the stunt work and people see you and go, that's you in that action scene there. We're not going down the Roger Moore route here of like ridiculously inappropriate stuntmen taking over the role for a few obvious seconds of fisticuffs. But no, Cillian Murphy's got an iconic look, those eyes, that very serious sort of strange face that he's got. I mean, I'm sure plenty of women love him, but I don't think he's a good-looking fella in the conventional sense. Again, so he hasn't got the rugged aspect, and he's not conventionally good-looking. He's a unique individual, a uniquely looking individual. I'm not even drinking, but those eyes, no, that's what kills it. Those eyes are not the eyes of a heroic leading man. They're the eyes of a Bond villain. He'd be great as a Bond villain. I'm afraid those sparkly blues, those weird sort of half in a trance, mesmeric blue eyes do not make the hero. They're too distracting. You need a guy who's going to walk in and blend in, look the part, but also in the action scenes hold his own. When he's in a casino or he's trying to be another character, he can blend in as well, but he still catches the eye of certain people. Cillian Murphy is going to look, people, he's got those crazy eyes. He's got eyes like a husky. You know, that's not eyes like my husky, as many of you know, because my husky's got brown eyes, not those weird incandescent blue eyes. So I don't think Cillian Murphy is the man for the role. So who else have we got? Oh, man of the moment, Robert Pattinson. Great actor, actually, great actor. Done a fair bit of changing of his identity a bit from the Twilight and Harry Potter. We've got a lot of indie stuff, and he's good. He's good. The Lighthouse, mate. He's tremendous, and I like him. Of course, now he's the Batman. So again, you've got a guy that's possibly. I think maybe he's still too young. I think. Could be wrong there. I'm not sure how old he is, but I think in my mind's eye he's still too young. But he could grow into the role. But he's the Batman. When the Batman comes out and it hopefully takes off properly, well, there's his franchise there. So you're not going to have him as Bond. Plus, I know a lot of people that I know, a lot of women that I know still swoon over him. And also, but they swoon over him in that pretty boy sort of category, not the rugged Sean Connery, Daniel Craig sort of capacity. So again, he's too good looking. And it shouldn't come down to that, but I'm afraid it does. In many ways, it does come down to that. Right, so we've just Luke Evans, possibly. Cillian Murphy, no chance. Robert Pattinson, I don't think so. Richard Madden, oh God, The Bodyguard and all that. Yeah. No, I've not seen him in enough things to be able to base an opinion on what his qualities are. The Bodyguard, many people saw that as being sort of like an audition for Bond, and they all went, yes, that's him. No, I don't really see too many levels to the guy. So I don't know. I mean, again, his name comes up all the time. For me, he's a bit of an unknown quantity, and I'm not smitten with what I've seen. So for me, no, Madden's out, which might make him mad. Michael Fassbender, he was mentioned a few times, and I think he's out the running now. Great actor. Can look good in the suit, and he can fight. If you ever saw him in that, people forget about this movie, Haywire, came out a while ago with I've forgotten the Gina Carrero, Gina whatever, female fighter, and I liked it. I thought it was a daft as fuck movie, but as action goes, it had plenty, and he has a phenomenal scrap with Gina, the girl, and they're kicking the shite out of each other, and wow. And I thought, well, yeah, you look the part. He's also in 300, you know, and he Stelios, and he's great in that. So the physicality, he can do it. The acting, he can do it. Fassbender is at the right age now, or maybe he's creeping beyond the starting age for a new Bond. I don't know. So, but I like him. Yeah, I think he could work. He could do it. Certainly a bloody good enough actor. Got the caliber there. Got the acting chops. The physicality looks good in a suit. Pretty much, you've got that there. A good-looking guy. Good-looking enough. Certainly, I think so. So anyway, yeah, Michael Fassbender certainly there. Okay, let's go on to the critics' favourite at the moment. I think it is the critics' favourite anyway. Henry Cavill, or Cavill, yeah. Man of Steel, Mission Impossible. God, what is that TV show? He's the Witcher, which was great. Although the blonde hair, I don't know, blonde wig. But Henry Cavill is outstanding. He would be numero uno for my choice if it wasn't for another guy who I haven't mentioned yet, who I'm going to come on to. Figuratively speaking, not literally speaking. Henry Cavill can bulk up, can look the part. He's got a sort of rugged face, but also combines the pretty boy look as well. So you put him in a tux, you put him in a suit, you put him in any environment, he looks terrific. He will catch the eye of the ladies, and then you've got blokes that want to be him. That works. Looks good in the suit, as I say. Physical roles, fighting, stuntwear, he's got it. He's nailed all that completely. And here's the crucial thing as well as being a good-looking guy, and with that charisma, he can walk into, let's use that casino again. He can walk into that casino, draw the eye of the ladies, camera stays on him, but he's not necessarily going to get the eye of everybody else. He's not going to walk in and everyone just goes, and he's so bloody obviously like, the good looking guy, this guy, he is somebody, he is something. 007 has to be able to move into different environments and secrete himself within there before he explodes into the full physicality, or be it romancing or fighting for his life. Henry Cavill can do that. He can definitely do it, and he is a good actor, and he's got that look. He is in that, he's in the running, definitely. The same token, Hugh Jackman, who's a good friend of Daniel Craig. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, and Wolverine is reputed to be coming back to the screen, so with Hugh Jackman playing him. So I don't really see Hugh Jackman stepping into 007, although he, again, a good looking guy, got the charisma, can look good in a suit. But I think in many ways, and this should have gone against him playing Wolverine, because Wolverine in the comics he's smaller than me, he's 5'3". It's a little fucking guy, mad hair. But he's 6'4" or something like that. Not only was he too tall for Wolverine, and yet made the role of Wolverine in the cinematic version very, very good and very iconic. But for Bond, I think perhaps he is too tall, and it does come down to that. I think he's too tall for Bond, and he's also too old now, because the next Bond will have to be, if they want a successive run of movies, a series of movies, then, and it takes, forget pandemics getting in the way, you're talking 2 years, 3 years between each movie on a good run. So, he's going to age himself out of the bracket far too soon. Will be Hugh Jackman. Although he could perhaps do it, but I think he's too damn likeable. I think he's too happy when he's not playing Wolverine, and even when he's Wolverine, he's still actually too happy for the role. But anyway, I like him, but a lot. But I don't think Bond is going to be on the cards for him. Which brings me down to the guy that I think, and I actually have said it before when I reviewed his film, The Guest, and that's Dan Stevens. Dan Stevens, from, of course, Downton Abbey. I almost forgot one of the most famous period dramas that British TV's ever produced, Downton Abbey. He was fantastic in that, and obviously can look very dapper, can be very suave, can be very romantic. He's a good-looking guy, but he's not too good-looking. Again, I keep coming down to this. But don't be, judging me on this, fixation. But it's very important. You've got to be. Blokes watching it have to want to be Bond. Women have to want Bond, and that is a huge element which you cannot deny. Cannot deny it. So Dan Stevens is a good-looking fella. He's not too big. Looks great in a suit. He's got the airs and graces. He can do that. He's proved it. He can also do accents, and he can fight like fuck as well, and be menacing and be brick hard. If you look at the film The Guest, he is outstanding with his American accent and his assassin qualities, his Machiavellian personality. He nails it. Now, on the back of that, he was being touted as being Bond, always up for Bond, and then he's just disappeared off the map completely. He's not in anyone's lineup for the potential next Bond, but he should be. And maybe he's just completely kiboshed it. I don't know. I don't even know what he's doing now. We haven't spoken for a long time, but he epitomises for me what the next gen, the next level of Bond could be. And he's approaching the right sort of age as well. So he's got the refinement, he's got the etiquette, he's got the looks. He can definitely do the fighting and the physicality of the role. Got all of that. So, you know, the Broccolis, be looking. And Mr. Dan Stevens, he's mine. Henry Cavill, I'm sure he is absolutely, if you haven't already snagged him for the role, he will have been approached a lot. In the public eye we know about it, but behind the scenes a lot more takes place. But Henry Cavill, I'm sure, is the popular choice, but Dan Stevens for me is the one that would nail it. He could walk in anywhere, he could charm anybody, and he's got a sense of humour, he's got the charisma, and he's got the acting chops. He's got everything, the full package. And I'm pretty certain he wouldn't be averse to getting knocked about with in his first outing as Bond, and then the next one he's got a broken nose. I don't know, just to add a bit more ruggedness to the countenance. Couldn't do it. But going back to Tom Hardy, I wouldn't rule out the Broccolis moving with the times a little bit and having someone like Tom Hardy come in for like Lazenby, a one-off shot as Bond. That could be another way that they do things. It's got to be very hard to tie an actor in these days into a role which is going to go on for years. I mean, Daniel Craig, with his pontificating and hesitancy from outing to outing, allowed him to go off and do other movies, you know, Cowboys and Aliens, or whatever it was. What was the other thing? Knives Out, Knives Out, and other bits and bobs that he's done. Because he delayed and procrastinated and dragged his heels. So he's now shown other actors that, you don't get suckered into this whole Bond thing, despite what he's saying now, and like, best days of his life and all that, and which I'm sure it is. But he definitely didn't like Spectre. He didn't want to be involved in it. He did it for the money. And then he got brought back for this and saw it as a proper way out for the character and hit the end of his run. And I'm sure that he's sincere in most of what he says now as well. But he's also very thankful that that's the end of it, but never say never again. And so I think an actor now who comes into the role of 007 has to be one that, or rather the actor and the studio has to realise they can't keep them to this sort of schedule unless you've got a guaranteed run of movies, one after the other, 3, 4, 5, whatever. You might have to be open to doing one shots, one guy playing Bond for one movie, which would give license to deviate from the path. So you'd have Tom Hardy in there for one, you could do it. Henry Cavill could be in there for one. Dan Stevens could be in there for one. And looking at the box office and the success of it, that's only, get another one here, another shot at it. I don't know. I'm spitballing, obviously. By the way, there were other names here, John Boyega and all that, but John Boyega's too young. He's just too young. You can't do it. And actually, I didn't write the name down, which is a bit lax of me. I didn't write the name down. But he's in Aquaman, and what else has he just been in? He's been in something else as well. Oh, Candyman, and again I forgot the guy's name. And he is, well, he's not British, and although he could play the role of physicality, but I just don't see it happening. I can't see him in a tux, for one thing. And I forgot the guy's name. Candyman, you look it up. The main star of Candyman. But anyway, So, Q, if you don't mind, there's my little run-up. Dan Stevens is my numero uno, but I don't think it's going to happen. But Henry Cavill is probably the guy. Has it gone very, very dark in here all of a sudden? It has, hasn't it? Anyway, folks, comment below, let me know who you think is in the running for the next Bond, and who you want to see as Bond, and who you don't want to see as Bond, you know, and what you think of my little listing and run up there. And you know, but I will say again, just to cap this off, that I think they already know who they want as Bond. But as the Broccolis have said, you know, we're going to let No Time to Die have its day. Let it run out this year. Let Daniel Craig go out on a high note, and we're not even going to talk about in the media as to who the next Bond could be. We're going to do that next year. Let all the dust settle. And I totally appreciate that. I think that's the respectful thing to do. But anyway, bring Lazenby back. For God's sake, bring Lazenby back. Have him playing M. That'd be great. Anyway, folks, I have been and always shall be Kilt-Man. Shall always be at your services. So apologies if it's gone exceptionally dark. It's because the sun has gone in. Anyway, folks, please keep it Kilted, keep it Celtic. Please be happy. Enjoy what you do. Because if you're not enjoying what you're doing, stop doing it. And go and do something else that you might enjoy a lot more. Simple, folks. I'm going to see you all later. And I'm going to exit stage left and hit the off button.